DJ DNA podcast. I'm DJ DNA, and this is episode 1. Finally, I made it. I finally made it. It's been a long time coming. I've wanted to start a podcast for a long time. I actually started a podcast at the very beginning of the pandemic, but it just didn't work. Like, we had started recording, and then the pandemic happened, and everything fell apart. It just didn't work, but here we are again. I'm so glad to be here. I always wanted to start a podcast so I can highlight business owners, family, friends, artists, athletes, and let you know what they got going on, because I got a bunch of really cool people that I know who are doing a bunch of different things that are pretty dope. So I want to be able to highlight them and at the same time give you guys one-on-one time with me, just like this, where it's just me here in the studio and you guys are learning things about me. Maybe I'll go live sometimes, do some live episodes. And I'm going to have guest co-hosts in here, so I won't always be by myself. And I'll have just a co-host in here, and we're literally just going to be chopping it up, talking about everything, anything and everything that comes up, and it should be fun. Some of y'all are like, who is this dude? Well, I'm DJ DNA, like I said in the beginning. I'm from Middletown, Connecticut. I'm the youngest of 3 kids. I'm the baby in my household growing up. And we all have last names. We all have different last names. I know some of y'all is like, why would he say different last names? Because when I think about who I am, that's one of the things that stick out to me. At a very young age, I always question things about my dad internally. And my friends did too. They'd be like, I have a brother named Bass. So they're like, how are you and Bass full brothers? How y'all got the same mother and same father, but y'all have different last names? At a very early age, I questioned these things. My friends did. So it always had me wondering and stuff. And I felt different growing up. I would be with my mom a lot. My brother would be with my grandmother, hanging out and doing stuff over there. And I just always felt different. It wasn't until I got older I really started questioning things, like questioning my identity. Honestly, I didn't feel like I knew who I was, and I wanted to know where I came from. So, I sat down with my mom, and I questioned things about my dad, like, do me and Bass really have the same father? And she was super honest with me, and she's like, pretty much said that, I don't know, maybe it could be a possibility. But she couldn't really give me any answers. So I dealt with that, and then like I said, I wanted to know where I was coming from. But what she did for me was she was able to point me in a direction on her side of the family so I can try to get some closure. Because if I didn't know who my dad was, at least I could figure out where I came from on my mom's side. We don't have a lot of family on my mom's side. It's not like we were having these big family parties growing up. I'm biracial, so my mom is white. She had 3 kids with black guys, and her family wasn't always cool with that. So, she distanced herself from her family, but she pointed me in the direction of a family member who didn't know too much, but she pointed me, this family member actually pointed me in a direction and gave me a name of an old family member, and his name was Robert Rose. So I went hard. I went ham. I found out that Robert Rose was one of 10 settlers who settled in Old Wethersfield in 1634, the oldest town in Connecticut. I'm like, wow, I'm part of this huge history. And I went to the town hall. There was books on them. I was going through books. I was looking at deed transfers from the 1800s. I went to the cemetery and seeing these huge tombstones with my last name on it, and it was really, really dope. And that shut me up for a while. I forgot. Not that I didn't forget that I didn't have a dad, but I wasn't questioning that stuff as much. Let me just say the guy who I thought was my dad wasn't around anyway. So even though I had a dad, I didn't have no dad. But it wasn't until later on when I met my wife. My wife and kids got me an Ancestry DNA kit. And I did the whole thing. At the time, my mother was staying with us. My mother and my stepfather was staying with us. And I did the swab. I sent it back, went through the steps. And I remember the day the results came back. I'm sitting in the living room. My mother is in her room with my stepfather. And I get the results. I pop up. I tap on the door. I'm like, Mom, my results are in. I didn't know what I was looking for or none of that. I hadn't been that far on the site yet. I just did my DNA, sent it in. But I remember when I opened it up on my laptop, I remember it saying, it was the part where you could see what percentage of what, like where I came from. Like I seen that I was super French. And I'm biracial, so I was super French. I had I had a bunch of stuff in Africa. That's the first thing that I seen when I looked at it. And then I clicked another page where it was like family members or something. And I scrolled to the top. No, I'm sorry. I scrolled to the bottom, not really knowing what I'm looking for. I just like scroll in and then I'm like, yeah, I don't really know what I'm looking for. And I scrolled to the top real fast, bow. And went all the way to the top and it says parent-child match. While I'm with my mom and my stepdad in the room. And I'm like, Mom, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I think I found my dad. And I'm always joking. So she's like, yo, stop playing. I'm like, no, I'm being serious. She's like, what does it say? And it didn't really have, I don't recall it having his whole name there. It was just like whatever his screen name was on Ancestry. And I read it. It was like E. Lee or something like that. And his last, it was like E. Lee Lowry. And my mom is like, E. Lee Lowry? I don't know no name E. Lee Lowry. And then my stepdad said, Lee Lowry? And I was like, I don't know. Do you know somebody named Lee Lowry, Mom? And she was like, yeah. So let me see a picture. So I pull up a picture. She's saying, I'm like, that's Lee Lowry. She was like, Lee Lowry? I'm like, did y'all do it? She was like, well, yeah. I was like, then that's probably my father. And it's crazy that changed my life immediately. Like right then and there, I never in a million years would have thought that I found my father. I honestly had gave up. So come to find out, I had an uncle who passed away way before I was born. My stepdad and this uncle who passed away were actually friends. Walking home from school one day, he tripped and hit his head and he passed away while he was with my stepdad. Crazy story. And I found this afterwards. Like, obviously, I found out that day. Crazy. And, yeah. So my mom is like, so I find my dad. He's on there. I'm like, what do I do next? She's like, are you gonna contact him? And I'm like, I really don't know. I seriously needed time. I had to, like, is this really happening? The main thing I think that was in my head was like, yo, I don't know if I can take rejection. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know that if I reached out and he didn't want to be bothered with me, if I could take that. I didn't know, and I didn't want to be rejected. So I slept on it. And big shout out to my wife, because my wife actually wrote the message to my dad. And it was very straightforward. It wasn't like, "Hey, daddy, where you been at? I'm your son." It wasn't none of that. It was just like, "Hey, I don't know if you seen that we matched. I just wanted to reach out. I have 3 daughters, blah, blah, blah." One of the main reasons my wife and kids got me an Ancestry DNA kit is because you know how when you go to the doctor, they're always asking you, like, does this run in the family? Does this run in the family? I could never answer any of those questions ever in my life because I just didn't know. I didn't know who my dad was. So one of the things we put in that she put in that letter, in that message, was like, want to know for health reasons. I want to know what what I should be looking out for. And we sent it. Yo, I didn't hear anything from like a week. I sent that message and didn't get any response back. I was like, wow. And then I'll say, mind you, that probably about a year prior, my mom and my dad actually reconnected on Facebook. They found each other on Facebook. However, they found each other. So they had already had a conversation. And what's crazy is that she read me the messages once they became friends on Facebook. And she was just saying, like, my life, this is what I'm doing. I have 3 kids, 2 boys, and neither one of their ass even rung a bell. It never rang a bell that one of them kids might have been his ass. Which is cool, but so my mom is asking me every day, did he answer? Did he answer? Did he answer? She's like, I want to reach out on Facebook. I'm like, don't reach out on Facebook. Let me handle it. And then that week went by and he was like, fuck all of that. This is my baby. I'm going to send him a message. So she ended up sending him a message. I don't remember what the message said. A lot of that stuff from back then, this whole like getting the results, it's really, really, really kind of vague for me because it was kind of like unbelievable. Like I really couldn't believe it was happening. There's stuff that I'm doing with my dad today that I still can't believe that is happening. So she ended up sending him a message and he's like, oh, no, I didn't see it. Let me check it out. So comes to find out, he was literally on, and I seen this on Ancestry. When you go to someone's account on Ancestry, you can see the last time they were logged in. And I specifically remember certain things I can remember, certain things I can't. But I specifically remember it being like last logged in like 3 days ago or something like that. And what he said was he would usually go on there, do a bunch of research, and then not log in for months. And he had literally just did that 3 days ago. So he was like, let me check out the message and then I'll get back to him, whatever. So he ended up, explaining all that stuff to me. And, I'm not going to say too much about this story because I want to be able to tell it with my dad on this podcast. But he ended up contacting me and I ended up meeting all his brothers and sisters, all my nieces and nephews. No, not my nieces. My nieces and nephews and my siblings before I actually met my dad. Fire, yes. So come to find out, I got a dad and I have 2 sisters. I have aunts and uncles. I have cousins in my town that I didn't know. We got mutual friends. Never crossed paths with my sister in this town. It's crazy. We decided not to make, not to be sad or be down because we hit it off immediately. Everybody welcomed me immediately. All my aunts and uncles, all my dad's brothers and sisters, they had all girls. So I'm the first male cousin, the first male child in this generation. So everybody like really welcomed me with open arms. Super emotional meeting people. I did a lot of crying probably that first 2 months, man. Honestly, it was super overwhelming. I couldn't believe it was happening. I got to meet my grandmother. I got to meet my dad's mom before she passed. Fire. But my dad and I, we decided not to dwell on the past and be like, oh, I wish we could have did this, or I wish we could have did that. And we decided to make memories moving forward. And that's how I got involved with TTT Radio Network. So TTT Radio Network is an internet platform, but before it was an internet radio platform, it was literally just a radio station named TTT Radio Network. And talking to my dad, I found out, oh, I didn't even tell y'all that my damn dad is a DJ. I've been DJing. When I met my dad, I had been DJing. I could just mess. I'm going to say like 12 years. When I met my dad, he had been DJing my whole life. Yeah, my dad's name is DJ Professor Lee. So he had just started a radio station and he named it TTT Radio Network. And it was something I remember wanting to be involved with the radio so bad, but not wanting to come off like, let me in. Just trying to be super nonchalant and just started asking questions about it. We would talk like once a week and just try to get to know each other. But then he asked me if I was interested in doing internet radio. And I said, absolutely. I just didn't know if I had the right equipment. I didn't know what I needed. I was already DJing. I didn't know if I needed to buy different DJ equipment or anything like that. And he's like, nah, you don't really need anything extra. And he got me set up with the radio station. He's like, listen, you could he's telling me that if I want to start my own radio station, that he would help me with it and he would teach me everything that I needed to know about, managing and programming radio stations, or I could join his station and then one day take it over and it would be mine. And that's what I chose to do. I chose to carry on the legacy that he had started. And that's where TTT Radio Network came from. It started from one station. Now we have like 13 stations on our app. We have stations, creating stations for people and hosting them on our platform. It's actually really dope. When I started DJing on TTT Radio Network, it was just my dad and one other friend. And we were trying to get listeners. It was super hard to get listeners to stay when one of us was not on, because if I'm DJing on the radio, I'm like, yo, I'm live. People are gonna tune in to listen to me DJ, but when I get off, they get off. So I was trying to figure out a way. How can we get people to continue to listen even when there's not a DJ on? Excuse me. And my dad is like, let's try to bring on other DJs. We didn't know how we were gonna do that because it costs money to keep this radio station up and running. And if we ain't got no money coming in, there's just a lot of money going out. We need to figure something out. So my dad is like, you need to go live. He's telling me I need to show my face and I need to go live. Somehow DJing and playing music and tell people to download the app. And that's exactly what I did. I started going live on TikTok. I'm sorry. I started going live on Facebook. And we all know how Facebook is when you start to play music. It was good for a little while. I probably got a good couple months in where I was doing my wake and bake mix on Facebook in the morning from like 8:30 to 11 I was doing, I think, back then. And it was good. People who didn't even know that I was DJing because I wasn't streaming. I was just DJing weddings and private events and corporate events. People got to see what I was doing. Maybe they seen me say that I was a DJ, but they had never seen me do anything. And now they were actually able to see it. So I ended up building up some following on Facebook, which was fire. But then they started like muting my live and then kicking me off while I was live. I wasn't able to do my whole 2 hours or 2.5 hours or whatever it was. And it was very, very discouraging. But you know, my dad is like, we gotta figure it out. You gotta go live. And then I was introduced to Twitch. Twitch is another Twitch is another live streaming platform. I didn't know anything about Twitch. Actually, I think I did know about Twitch, but I honestly just thought it was video like gamers. Maybe it started off like that. I'm not sure, but that's what I thought Twitch was until I came across a DJ, Darth Vader. Yo, I seen this dude DJing. I'm pretty sure he was DJing music videos, and I was like, I want to do that. Like, if I'm gonna stream, I want to do music videos. So, like, Vader was probably the first DJ that I seen on Twitch, and I used to be in his live all the time, whatever. And I got, I got my followers up on Twitch, became an affiliate, blah, 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 was actually pulling in money from my lives on Twitch. And it was like, okay, this is pretty dope. I'm DJing live and I'm able to make money doing this. Like, this is pretty cool. And then I found out about TikTok. Man, TikTok is different, man. TikTok was different. So I remember, so I didn't find TikTok until after the pandemic. I was already on Twitch before the pandemic, trying to get everything going. Just, my dad is like, you got to go live. You got to go live. You got to go live. So that's what I'm doing on Twitch. And then I find TikTok, not even to go live. I found TikTok from scrolling. I knew what TikTok was. I had heard of it. I was familiar with Musical.ly because I have kids. I have daughters. I made a Musical.ly with my daughter before. But I get on TikTok. I didn't know anything about going live. I just thought you were able to make funny videos using other people's audio. And big shout out to Sabine, because honestly, Bean, your TikToks in the very beginning of the pandemic, they made me sign up for TikTok. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I love you, Sabine, but I was like, yo, I could do better. Like, I'm funny. I can make some of these shits. And I went ham, man. I started making crazy videos, funny videos, and my likes and views were going up really fast just from making music videos, not even DJing, no music related, nothing, just silly videos. And then I find out you can go live. I'm like, oh my goodness, I could DJ live here, but I couldn't go live until I had 1,000 followers. So I just kept making funny videos and putting them out there, and I got to 1,000 followers, and I was able to go live. Once I went live, that shit was hard. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's hard in the very beginning because nobody's coming in your live. You don't even have a lot of followers. You have 1,000 followers. You're in there DJing, and there's like, you're DJing for 2 hours, and there's only like 2 or 3 people in there. But I remember watching videos, and like, even just from being on Twitch, I knew that you had to be consistent. You had to make a schedule if you wanted to grow. And that's what I did. I'm like, I'm going to continue to do this wake and bake mix. And I'm just going to give it all I got. And we're going to see what happens. And that's what I did, man. I went live. I've been going live every day, Monday through Friday. Well, I took time off. I went on vacation, stuff like that. But I've been DJing on TikTok and the radio on TTT Radio Network for the last 6 years consistently. It got to a point where I hit 100,000 followers, and that was big for me. Most people gain their followers from the content that they post. I legit got a majority. I would have to say 90% of my followers on TikTok followed me from being live. Like, they followed me while I was live, not because they seen a funny post. And I think now I'm at like I don't even know how many followers. I'm over 100,000. And I actually threw a 100K Halloween bash. That was the first Halloween party that I threw, and I've been doing one ever since. So, I threw the first one. I don't even remember what year it was, man. 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I did the 100K Halloween bash. Super successful, and I decided to do it the next year and the next year. This year, we're doing the 3rd annual DNA Halloween bash. It's going down October 26th in Wallingford, Connecticut. Tickets are on sale through Eventbrite. So if you just type in DNA's Halloween bash on Eventbrite, you'll be able to find it. And if you're in the area, you should pull up. Super dope. We got VIP. It's open bar, music, performers. We got Kenny in the building. We're going to have Valentine in the building. We got DJ Turn Up Trey. We got DJ Trey Fire. It's so fire. You guys got to check it out. Super proud of it. What else I got going on? Let's talk about new music. New music. What am I listening to today? That's fun, man. There's a lot of stuff out there that I actually like from today. I'm actually surprised that I like so much new music. And it may partly be because I'm a DJ and I play it often, so it sticks out to me. But if I had to give you I'll give you 3 songs. I'll give you 3 songs from artists in 2024 that I'm listening to. 3 songs. First song is gonna be Red Moon, Lil Uzi Vert. It's fire. It's got a drum and bass vibe with like a trap vibe. It's fire. I love the beat, and I like Lil Uzi. So the second song I'm gonna go with is it just came out. Kalani just dropped a new project. It's called When He's Not There. It's Kalani featuring Lucky Day. I love that song. That shit has been on repeat. I like her album that's out right now. And then lastly, I'm not even gonna give you a song. I'm fucking with anything Boss Man D-Lo. If you don't know who Boss Man D-Lo is, Google him, man. I'm really surprised how much I like this dude's music, because that whole mumble rap for a long time, I always talked about today's hip hop. I never really liked it. I am an advocate for today's R&B though. I love today's R&B. But yeah, anything Boss Man D-Lo, I'm definitely fucking with. So yeah, man, that's my time. I'm DJ DNA, and this is the DJ DNA podcast. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.